This is Josh and Jay's Excellent Video Game Show.
Hello and welcome to Josh and Jay's Excellent Video Game Show, episode 78. I am your co-host Joshua. With me, as always,
is your co-host Jay, and with us, as always,
co-host Rowan Shua.
Rowan Shua
Kaiser. The Feach 8 out of 10 Kaiser.
Like an 8 out of 10.
Guys,
and
listeners and KWTF listeners, welcome to our pre-E3 show. E3 is just around the corner. We got the three giants, Microsoft, Nintendo with their new Wii U console coming out. Sony's coming out with their PS4.
that already came out, but sure.
What year is this? Why am I playing Advance Wars on my Wii U?
I don't know. I was wondering that because last night Josh and I both saw Neutral Milk Hotel and Elf Power.
Yes.
And I was wondering if it wasn't 1998.
And then you played Bioshock in 1998 mode, and
yes, and it all came together.
I've been playing a lot of.
Speaking of Bioshock.
Oh yeah. So
did you play some Bioshock?
I played some Bioshock.
Getting right into games. Hey, KWTF, you hear that? Right into games. Brad Galloway, we're going right into games.
This one's for you, Galloway.
So how much did Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 suck?
I like jokes.
Is that not the suckiest game that sucked?
I've never played that game.
Oh, Brad Galloway's the only person.
No, I'm all for...
We're talking about Bioshock.
We're talking about Bioshock now, Rowan?
Talking about Bios.
I thought we were talking
Try to
about
keep
Brad
up.
Galloway.
We're talking Bios Hawk.
Try to keep up, guys.
Do it, Josh.
What happened? Bioshock Infinite, everybody played, and like I feel like, did we all love the first 10 minutes of Bioshock Infinite?
Yeah,
like everybody did, right?
Yeah.
You're walking around.
We don't have to rehash this, but
well, I'm just saying, I went back to that DLC because I purchased it when I don't know why, I don't know when or why, but
This is the funny thing,
Yeah.
is that we were all disappointed with Bioshock Infinite. We gave it our most disappointing game of the year. And
I didn't.
Game of the year.
I
awards.
didn't.
yeah,
But
as a show, you have to accept responsibility for the fact that you are part of the democratic union, which is Josh and Jay's Excellent Video Game
I would
Show.
say more hive mind.
And as a hive mind,
The royal we.
we decided,
Yes.
like Legion in Mass Effect, that Bioshock Infinite was disappointing. So, sorry, Josh, you have to believe that now.
Our Game of the Year show.
Joshua Commander.
The results of our Game of the Year show speak for all of us now. For better or worse, we fought it out. Winners.
Yeah.
Some people won, some people lost.
Anyway, so I think we all agreed that it was a strong candidate for
Game
most
of the year.
disappointing Game of the Year.
Yes.
And yet,
Gary agrees.
here we
yet
are.
Here you are,
So-
like, oh goody, more Bioshock Infinite. Just
Well, no,
what we always
that's
wanted.
that's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't goody. It was I have this thing. I should.
But why did you get it? There are
I got
like
it 'cause I
5,000 games
have
on
a-
Steam.
and I have all of them. So it's that's a different issue we've talked about before. I have a problem. I buy things. So, but I wasn't looking forward to playing this. I just thought, and in fact, I tried a couple months ago, and was like, I don't want anything to do with this. So, I heard that Part 2 was really good. Burial at Sea Part 2.
I heard the same. The rumors are spreading around the mill,
And
around the rumor mill.
It just came out, so I thought, well, I should probably finish Part 1 first, Burial at Sea Part 1. So I loaded that up, and that game's super short. Like, I texted you after I beat it. I feel like it took me an hour and a half or 2 hours.
It's just
to beat
DLC, right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're both supposed to be, telltale sized.
Right, but that was awesome because I didn't like playing it, so it ended really fast.
Well, I look, think about, I mean, I don't know if this is fair or not, but if you were to break down the Bioshock Infinite proper into episodic content, the first episode would have been amazing, and then all the other episodes might have gotten a little bit less interesting.
And then interesting again for when you go back to the Bioshock world, when you go back to
Yes.
to Rapture.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Spoilers.
That's our spoiler alert.
Yeah, so I played Burial at Sea 1, so that's kind of you play as a Booker, kind of the same deal, and ends with a bunch of Ken Levine nonsense. And then
That's weird.
and then I fired up Burial at Sea 2, and that also starts off super rad.
So tell me a little bit about the parameters and like the basic story going into Burial at Sea.
Oh God, God, I don't know. It's a bunch of that nonsense from Bioshock Infinite.
Oh well, okay.
Well, you're back.
I
so
mean,
it's
just
a,
more
There's
basic.
always
thing,
there's always
yeah.
a bullshit.
Yeah.
There's always
There's always a grim man.
Yeah. So you're
Dude.
You're Booker. You're in your you go back to Rapture and you're Booker. And you don't really know about you're not the same Booker from Bioshock Infinite, but then you totally are the same Booker from Bioshock Infinite, but you're not, but you're both. So you got the
there's always a Booker.
who are those two awesome characters from Bioshock Infinite?
The Lucrece
Yeah.
twins.
Yeah,
They're in the mix.
Well, that now suddenly I'm interested.
Yeah, because they're interesting.
Yeah, they're like the only unambiguously good thing about.
the Latisse.
They're the
Twins.
Q of this, like from Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it ends on a cliffhanger. I don't know how to tell. I don't know what to say about it because it's kind of all spoiler. But the mechanics are very Bioshocky, and you're in Rapture, which is
Okay, so it's a first-person shooter. They're not
first-person
changing
shooter.
that.
Yeah,
It's a tactics RPG.
it's very story heavy. So it's like an act. From
So it's like
Bioshock
Gone
Infinite.
Home, but Bioshock version.
Yeah, very much so. You're going back to Rapture.
Oh, so it is. It's literally Gone Home too.
Yeah, and they even find a way to shoehorn in.
And then you find out Elizabeth joins Bratmobile and
the sky
drives us
the skyhook
into the
stuff.
sunset.
Elizabeth's like, use your skyhook, and then Booker's like, what? You mean what's a skyhook? You mean the rail hangy thingy? That's what I call this. It's a different universe. Who knows? It's crazy. I wear mittens on my feet and shoes on my hands.
Yeah.
So
Toilets flush backwards in Rand McNally.
they twirl back. They drain in the opposite direction. if you're a hobbit.
That's scary.
So
And hamburgers eat pizza.
I don't know if I'm answering your question. It's it's the same. And then
But good.
part one, it's the same.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is that I hear that the Burial at Sea episodes have kind of like a noir
Yes.
vibe and
Dame walks
aesthetic
into a
to it.
detective's office as the first.
yeah. I
Scene.
mean, not that the main game didn't have those moments too, but it seems
But
like
it
they're
didn't.
focusing on those a little bit.
Right. For a minute. Yeah.
So how's the racism?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah,
Um.
that's always been a hallmark
So,
of Bioshock Infinite.
but this is part one. So part two is a whole different beast. Part two, you play as Elizabeth, and it's a.
Is that even legal
And what do you mean?
to play as the sidekick?
Yeah, child labor laws.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but I do know that you're. It's
I
kind
like
of
jokes.
you play it kind of like a thief, like a stealth game,
Oh.
and you're rewarded for that. And it's
What
really
kind
cool.
of
Like old thief or new thief?
Old thief. Like you figure it out, stealth your way through it. It's kind of.
weird? What if Ken Levine made a better thief?
I think it would
sequel.
probably be pretty good, except for the ending. The Burial at Sea 2 opens though as awesome as Bioshock Infinite opens.
Okay.
You don't want to leave the beginning because it's so freaking awesome.
Okay, well that makes me want to fire it up.
How much is it? $15?
I found the season pass on sale for $5 recently, and I just got it because I figured
The opening scene of Burial at Sea 2 is worth $5.
I guarantee it will be $5 at some point in the next Steam sale, whenever that is. Summer sale.
That's a J. Pullman guarantee.
Yeah, I'm telling
You
you.
can take that to the bank.
Or there might be one. Don't they do a spring one sometimes? Maybe they'll
Yeah,
do
I
one
think
next
they do.
weekend
Yeah,
over
yeah.
Easter weekend
Yeah,
or
I think
something.
they do it over Easter.
So
So
look-
I've been building up my Steam cards and selling those off, so that I'm ready. I have like $16 in
I would be
Steam bucks.
very surprised
From
if
cards?
from cards.
You're like a card mogul.
It's crazy.
I just threw all mine up for $10 each the other day.
look at you exploiting the Steam auction house.
I always loved exploiting the auction house in World of Warcraft.
$16 is like 1,000 games.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So one of the things that I haven't finished Burial at Sea 2, but you're introduced to all these stealth mechanics, and then they kind of start doling out, like, here's your shotgun, here's your other thing, and I'm like, why are you giving me all
Weapons?
yeah, so I can play as Elizabeth with a shotgun? Like, it was much cooler when you only
You
had
should be able to
stealth
like
options.
open tears to send people into hell dimensions.
Sorry, Elizabeth plain or Elizabeth with a shotgun? Which one's cooler?
Plain.
Really?
Which one's cooler, or which one's more interesting to play after X amount of hours
Oh, okay.
of the same thing over and over again?
So adding a shotgun doesn't make it better?
I'm not that far into it, but I prefer But you can be stealthy and just not use your shotgun. But it's cool. I mean, it's very Bioshocky and
Oh, so you
it's
can
very
you
short.
can pick whether or not you want to. It's like Alpha Protocol.
Yes, it's exactly like Alpha Protocol.
Now I'm excited.
Except
I can't
for-
wait for the ice cream shop part.
It's exactly like part 1
Might
is
be a
like
little
Gone
inside
Home,
baseball.
exactly, and part 2 is exactly like Alpha Protocol.
Burial at Sea, episode 1,
It's the Gone Homes, of
Gone
Bioshock
Home
Infinite.
2, and then Burial at Sea, episode 2, Alpha Protocol 2. I like it.
Gone Home 2.
The funny thing is that these games actually all do kind of spring from the same source. Like you can trace something back through Deus Ex and Thief and System Shock 2 that all kind of gets to that thing that Gone Home and Bioshock and all these other games have.
Well, sure. I mean, that's kind of what we do that sometimes, whether it's on purpose or on accident, but it always makes me think of, it's like the scene in if you've seen the movie School of Rock, where Jack Black is like teaching the history of like cool music on the chalkboard and how it traces back to like different punk
Every
movements
good
and-
podcast has School of Rock references.
I'm just saying.
It's a good movie. I'm not actually being that ironic.
Like an 8 out of 10.
Rapture is much more interesting than that other place.
Columbia.
Cool. Yeah. So just being in Rapture is I mean, it's the best part of Bioshock Infinite. Just being in Rapture,
Stepping into that world.
Yeah.
Well, Columbia was fine until you started killing stuff.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of killing in Burial at Sea 1. So.
And I think, the more I've had time to digest it a little bit, I think what it really boils down to, at least on a subconscious level, is that when you take those first steps to navigate around Columbia, it feels so different than any game that's that style that I had played up until that point, and I assume a lot of other people as well. So when all of a sudden it became the same game that you've played 1,000 times before, it was disappointing.
Right. Yeah. And we've talked about it before, but the Big Daddy fights in Bioshock were interesting. They were really interesting to me, at least. Like, I felt
Yeah.
like, okay, I have to do this systematically. I'm almost Dark Souls-like about this. This is going to be a big ordeal. And then in Bioshock Infinite, when you fought whatever their version was, it was just chaos. It was just like bullet sponge nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the mechanics are bad at all. Obviously, they're super clean, and from a technical standpoint, I'm sure hold up as among the tightest of whatever shooters you want to compare it to. But that doesn't necessarily make it interesting
Well,
if
the
you've
big-
already played that same.
Right, but the Big Daddies were interesting because they were a choice in themselves.
For
you
sure.
didn't have to mess with them at all. They
No.
were just in the ecosystem.
You're right, and that was totally interesting. But when you're in Columbia,
Everything's
and
just comes
you're
at
being
you.
confronted by everything. That's when you're playing Doom. You know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
and we've played that game before. So when it starts out as something so fresh and different, and then it devolves into essentially Doom or something, even I don't know. It tries to make it more interesting by forcing a narrative into it, whereas the first BioShock, like some of that interesting narrative came, is emergent, right? It came out of these weird interactions where sometimes you would fight a Big Daddy and sometimes you wouldn't.
And it was really atmospheric too. It was that that you have this
Yes.
creepy old rundown former utopia that you have these extremely creepy little girls running around attached to these big daddies that are really dangerous. So you have this sort of constant reinforcing of how the world is dangerous in both like form and content.
Oh yeah, I mean the association of the little the little sisters with the Big Daddies is just such. There's such tension between that relationship from a third perspective.
Yeah.
That you have to that tells you the whole story that nothing is safe.
Yeah, whereas the handyman in Bioshock Infinite, I mean,
Ugh.
the first time
big
you meet
monkeys
them,
with wrenches.
the first time you meet them, they're like in the carnival that you wander through in the first hour, and that's kind of cool. But then there's nothing really added to that,
Right,
There's no,
because
like,
when you see them for the first time, there's a sense of, oh, I'm going to feel sorry for this thing. Or, like, people are saying, what are they? Like, are they, is it a guy in there? Is he being tortured? Like, what? You have this sense of, I feel sorry for this
absolutely.
thing. And then there's no sense of that.
and then it's just like they're ogres,
Right.
or
And
they're,
also-
they're Atlas tanks.
In Bioshock, you were alone, and you would get radio transmissions, but you were alone. And I think adding Elizabeth took something away from that. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it took away that you weren't alone, but it just didn't feel... Elizabeth just seems like this thing to give you stuff to me, like to give you weapons and...
Well, yeah,
Kindness points.
mechanically, she's a butler.
Mm-hmm.
She's a mechanical butler. She is just there to serve you when when you're wanting for
She's
whatever
interesting
gear.
in the parts of that game that are interesting, which is the parts when you're not fighting and you're wandering around and you're seeing her
Right.
interact with stuff.
She's narratively interesting, but they had to figure out somewhere to stick her when you weren't, advancing the story.
Right. Which they use like string theory for or something, because she warps all
right?
over the
Yes,
place.
string theory.
Yeah.
I think that was it. The Latisses, is that what their name was?
Lucrece,
Lutece
I think
sounds
it's
right.
Lutece.
Lutesh,
Yeah,
Lutesh?
Lutece.
It's pronounced Lutiesa.
The
Lutz S.
I wanted to say like the Lutesses, but it's
I think
it's
it might
the
be
twins.
Lutece.
I think it's the twins Lutece on this show. Whatever their name is, regardless whether it's Latisse.
Yeah, so I don't know if
Juice.
I've, you already own it, right? So you can check it out. I don't know.
I pwn it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you need to. I don't know that you need to play the first one because they do a good summary at the
Poopin'
beginning
game.
of the second one. They do a previously thing
On The Walking Dead.
Damn right.
but the opening's pretty rad for Burial at Sea 2.
Okay, well,
Ken Levine Boogaloo, and then he just dismantled the whole company and bounced to go write screenplays.
yeah, he's like later I'm doing Logan's Run.
No, narrative Legos. That's what he's doing.
Narrative Legolas.
Narrative Legos.
Maybe. Yeah, he had this thing at GDC
It's
that was
Legos narrative.
Tell us about it. We didn't hear
I didn't
about
see
this
it, but he gave a presentation about how his goal is to create where you can game systems where you can have little chunks of narrative that you do in different orders. Like building Legos creatively, and each one is a block, and where you put the block, kind of they stack up to create different things. Like that's the idea in theory, but
Is he partnering up with Steven Spielberg?
You know,
I
I'm
heard
seeing
from
a-
some people that it's like Ken Levine just discovered RPGs.
I'm getting a real George Lucas vibe here that, maybe all the things I like about Bioshock didn't have much to do with Ken Levine at all. Like, it's hard to know.
It's like Bioshock was like there are some good ideas under it that are necessary for making the game good, but like its atmosphere, its sound design, its weapon design, it's all that crazy cool shit that is artists and programmers putting their heads down and working for hours. It's
Well-
not a genius at the top who decides that stuff. It's that it's really competently done by everybody.
Exactly. I was just going to say, just off the top of my head, I mean, the Gone Home team was essentially formed as like from a group of people that worked on BioShock 2, and they were like, "Hey, let's just do our own game."
Who was the guy's name that we interviewed from Gone Home for the?
I think his name is
last-
Jonaman Nordhagen.
Nordlinger.
That sounds about right. But he gave a talk at GDC, and he was talking about. I'm kind of trying to learn Unity right now because I want to try to make a game, and he talked about how you should go get a job at a big AAA company and work there for a year and just learn everything you can from everybody and then bounce and then go make your game.
Yeah.
'Cause that's like going to college basically.
Totally. I mean,
Except you get money for
but,
it.
Right,
but
exactly.
that's so many different industries other than video gaming. I'm surprised that people are sort of just being turned on to this, but that's how, I mean, if you are in, I don't know, finance or business or anything, you go work at a big one of the huge like finance firms or accounting firms, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did
And-
the same thing with web development. I went
Yeah.
in and had a crash course with these engineers. And
Yeah, so you go get a job and you sort of cut your teeth for a year or two, and then once you've got some chops, you either decide you're going to be a corporate person and work your way up the ladder at the huge company, or you're like, I got all the know-how, I'm going to go make a cool little mom and pop shop and crank out what I want to do.
Or Logitech acquires you and moves you to Fremont and steals your soul.
There you go. No, but so the Gone Home team, essentially, at least half, if not the entire team, came from Bioshock 2. Also, the guy, or is it two guys who made FTL? Weren't they also working on Bioshock 2?
Oh, God, yeah. I forgot to write on the board. Sorry, FTL iPad version. I've been playing a ton of that.
You're fired. Write it on the board next time.
You want to talk about FTL?
It's a good thing that I mentioned it. Yeah, what's up with FTL?
Have you played FTL?
I have. So I don't. Just to recap,
Either of you?
when I first
Previously on Josh and
Previously on
Jay's
Josh
show.
and Jay's excellent video game show.
previously on Josh and Jay's excellent whatever
E3's few months away.
E3. So
Why are you guys still playing Bioshock?
so previously I had picked up FTL long time ago, and for some reason I could never get it to run. It would crash on startup, and I couldn't figure out why.
You're a computer man.
No, it's fine. It's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. So then
hey.
I think
fine.
it was like a weird Windows 8.1 non-compatibility thing going on. But eventually,
Did you get the latest update?
yeah,
It's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
They show your apps now down in the taskbar. If you have any of those dumb Metro things running,
I don't. I just use the normal desktop because I'm not a weirdo.
but God forbid you accidentally launch one of those things.
Yeah, right.
And now
Oh, now you don't have to go up to the corner of the screen to find it
no,
anymore?
no,
Okay,
no.
that's cool.
And also it'll default your photo viewer to like the Windows instead of opening up.
Oh,
and
my
picking-
my favorite thing is anytime I try to play a music file and it's like, you want to play this in Windows Music app.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's absolutely
Yeah, because I want
the
to watch.
opposite of what
I want
wanna
to watch
do.
this song on a full 1080p
Yes,
screen.
thank you for making my giant monitor fill up with an orange background with a pair of white headphones on it.
Right, yeah.
Like, that's exactly what I want to watch while I'm doing that.
Blow up that cover art for me. It's gonna look real good.
Anyway, I couldn't get FTL to run for the longest time, and then when I finally did get it to run, I tried to play it for a little bit and got distracted, and I just haven't gone back to it. But I need to. I've been meaning to.
It's a weird game. It's Rowan, have you played it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it's super fun, and they just came out with a big free update for everyone and the iPad version, which includes that, but is not free.
FTL Advanced.
Yeah, but the thing about that game is you have to. I've never played a lot of roguelikes, so I hate losing all my stuff and having to start over.
Then no wonder you
over
haven't.
and over again.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's so fun. But then I'm torn because I'm like, I really wish. So, but you can like unlock things that I presume will make the game easier every time.
Different, not necessarily easier.
I wish it would let you keep some of your stuff. I want to keep some of my stuff when I die.
Why don't you go play some sissy game like Dark Souls?
I've heard it's okay to. It's there's no. It's not. I heard it's okay to play this game on easy. Like no one's gonna give you smack for that.
Yeah.
Except Rowan.
The chief thing is that
Maybe.
the final boss is about as tough on easy as it is on normal.
The final boss is impossible.
Yeah.
I know that millions of people have beat him or whatever, but
So it's like
or her.
if you're playing on normal,
Yeah.
then you're more likely to have had a strong enough ship throughout to survive. Like if only like 1% of games you have a strong enough ship to beat the final boss.
See, there
Then
we go.
you
Well,
will get to that in like
let's talk about that.
Hold on.
Okay.
Then you'll get to that like 10. You'll get to the boss like 10% of the time on easy, but only 3% of the time on normal. So you have a higher chance once you get there if you made it that far on normal.
Sure, that makes sense.
But
Except, let's go back to what you just said. So 1% of the time you're going to be powerful enough to beat the last boss. So this is gambling. This is that what this is? Is this gambling?
no, because
Do
You're not
the stars have
investing-
to align for you to.
you're
to
not
end up
investing anything. It's not like gambling in that this will hurt your life
investing time.
unless you are like not going to work because you're playing FTL too much and you're like, I'll only go
I
to
haven't
work.
been to work in 2 weeks. I've just been playing FTL.
Good job. This is an awesome game.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just got to that final boss, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm doing because this is impossible.
I mean, it's a learning process. Like it's a game that's meant to be played and replayed over and over. And
Best feature of the new patch is you can assign crew members to certain spots and hit a button, and they'll run back to those spots. So
that's useful.
Ooh,
They-
automatic
also-
backsies. I love it.
There are also a bunch of new quests which are written by Chris Avallone for Planescape Torment and Alpha Protocol fame.
Yeah, he's a Obsidian guy,
Yep.
right?
But he also apparently does a lot of contracting because
I haven't played the new content yet. When you start the iPad version, it defaults you to the old content.
I didn't know that there was actually that much of a difference. I thought it was just that there were more quests.
There's different species,
Yeah.
different weapons. I don't know.
I would try it with the new content. I don't
Then
think
they
that there's
should
going to be that
default it
much.
to the
yeah.
advanced. I don't know why but I presume when a game defaults something that they want me to do it the regular
Yeah.
way first and then go back.
I think it's probably just racist.
Racist.
Yeah.
Well,
Like it's
wait.
the new aliens.
Did they have? Hold on. Here's a good test to see if a game's racist. Did it have like words painted on the wall that said "We're huge racists"? Because there sometimes games have that, and then it makes it easier.
But
to
in
tell
an
if
infinite
they're
amount of
racist.
universes and an infinite amount of lighthouses, you kind of aren't racist too because you're also not racist somewhere.
Wow.
So it's
Social
meaningless.
justice.
So-
Wow. That just blew my mind.
Yeah.
So
Bioshock Infinite's pretty dumb.
so in some
I think there's a drop.
so in someone else's lighthouse is not racist.
Yeah.
That's
You can be racist because you're also not racist.
because you're both at the same time.
And
Yeah.
therefore neither.
Yeah.
And therefore everything.
I
And
don't-
therefore nothing. And therefore
Now I feel less bad about last episode's South Park Hitler talk.
Because you're not racist and you didn't talk about
Because
Hitler somewhere?
because in another lighthouse, I was like, "That's not cool, guys. We shouldn't talk about that."
But yet that was one of our most popular episodes ever.
Oh well, then screw that. I'm glad this is my lighthouse. So, anything else on FTL or
good on iPad.
good on iPad?
That
Unlike
game was always like, this should be on iPad. There's no reason that this can't be a great game on iPad too.
Hearthstone is out on iPad.
Now that's dangerous.
Hearthstone.
Talk about a pooping game. You could play a Hearthstone match as you poop
Pooping
way too
game.
easily for me to ever think that that's going to be a good idea.
I think it's only
Pooping
out in
game.
Australia right now. You gotta
Oh yeah, they're slowly like rolling it
VPN.
out.
They do a lot of pooping down under.
Yeah,
so-
but the toilet drains the
Pooping
other way.
game.
So
Yeah, so well they gotta beta test that shit literally.
I played some other stuff, but enough about me.
Let's you talk about me.
Let's you talk about me.
So Rowan, have you played the new build of Josh and Jay's excellent video game?
Oh,
That's it. Game
Space Farmer with Robot Friend.
Space Farm. I like Space Farmer Hat Boy or
Yeah.
No, Space Farmer Robot Friend now with new hat.
Josh is messing around with Unity, and we were looking at one of his little experiments, which looks kind of cool. It's not super dissimilar to the Oculus Rift game we tried at the Unwinnable Salon.
Yeah, I've
it's
got
not
a Kickstarter up. I'm 45,000 towards my 50,000 goal right now, so if I can get the last 5,000,
God, poor Unwinnable.
go to Kickstarter.com/Space Farmer Robot Friend with hat.
You can donate at Kickstarter/Unwinnable.
Cash only.
Cash only.
Cash
Just
only.
throw cash
I got
at
this-
your
I
monitor.
had this thing with the IRS.
Someone will be by shortly to pick it
God,
up.
I have to do taxes this weekend.
You
Stop
write-
it.
You give
Don't-
me the cash.
Shut up! You're not bringing up taxes right now.
You give me the cash, and then my cousin's supposed to send me a check next week. So when he sends me the check, then I'll give you the cash back.
Which cousin Laddie?
Craig.
Is it cousin Laddie?
No, it's Craig.
Oh, from Meepos?
No, not him.
Sorry, that was just I got excited thinking about how
That was a spoiler for
Yeah.
our
It was a spoiler
unwinnable.
for our unwinnable Kickstarter reward, which you are not going to get if this thing doesn't get funded. So everybody should go to Kickstarter/unwinnable and support the heck out of that business.
We did one of the reward tiers for the $45 digital is a special podcast we did at the GDC Unwinnable party. We interviewed 12.
We
13,
we interviewed
14
some people like the Jonaman Nordhagen from Gone Home that we mentioned earlier. We got to speak with Lucas Pope of Papers, Please.
bunch of others.
Yeah, that's just a little teaser.
That's just a tease.
Go check it out. It's gonna be rad, and you get a whole bunch of other stuff with it. Obviously, we are not the only. That is just a
get
small sliver
a ton of stuff.
of the rewards.
Yeah. And also, it's a good cause.
It's way.
I should have an excerpt from my book going up on Unwinnable at some
Possibility
point soon.
space.
Possibility Space, a Mass Effect analysis.
Rowan
The
Hooper
chapter
game.
will be about Garrus.
Yeah.
Who is everyone's favorite Garrus.
That's my favorite Garrus.
And how he
Are you serious?
is,
You're my favorite
actually
Geralt. He's my favorite Garrus.
and how he's actually the main character of Mass Effect.
Kind of like Obi-Wan is the main character of the Star Wars.
Yeah, you could probably make a somewhat similar
Of
argument.
the Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely like.
It's either him or R2. Those are
That-
the only choices.
That's true. That's true.
It's more like how Bubbles is the main character of The Wire.
Oh, and of Trailer Park Boys.
Rowan gets 1,000,000 points for that.
Star Wars started filming.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, I can't.
Stop. Just stop.
Can't
You're
do
good.
it again!
I know. Just stop. Stop. You have your therapist number handy?
No.
Better get on that. Better get on top of that.
Go back
Oh.
to therapy.
The woman who made the Uncharted games, Amy Hennig,
Yes.
after she left Naughty Dog, she is going to make a Star Wars game somewhere in EA.
No,
Oh.
for what? It was what company was that? It was which?
I mean, EA owns the whole thing.
Right, but EA
Right.
owns. It was a company that made other. Man, I looked
Yeah,
this up.
it was basically all a bunch of good news for
Yes.
getting a clever action adventure Star Wars game,
Yeah.
and I'm for that.
I'm all for that too, because that Uncharted looking Star Wars game they demoed looked pretty rad.
Why can't we find some happy medium between The Force Unleashed and KOTOR and make that game on?
That was Jedi Knight 2 or Jedi Academy.
Have you heard from Obsidian in a while?
Like,
A few
are
years
they
ago-
going to offer me a job, or is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying. A few years ago, they said, "Hey, we'd love to do KOTOR," and now Star Wars games are happening.
There was a news article about how they had a pitch that
Yes.
couldn't go through because LucasArts was in so much chaos about like a role-playing game between the two Star Wars trilogies.
Right.
And like the end of it was like, or maybe I just saw Chris Avallone tweeting like, hey EA, this is still on the table. So
No, that was one piece of a great article that
E3.
was a deep dive into Obsidian and all of these projects that they worked on that did not come to fruition.
These poor guys.
And it was like if some of those games would have been made, it was oh man.
no, that was a different one. They actually had like a KOTOR on the table. I think that's the one you're thinking of.
Yes,
But then a few weeks
you're right.
later, they revealed that they were also like in the process of pitching a new Star Wars RPG that wasn't KOTOR, but
They
was
knocked South Park. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna come back. And we're gonna talk about all kinds of awesome stuff.
And it's time for the show.
What are we talking about?
We were talking about
You guys, what are you guys playing?
Walking Dead.
Damn right.
So where are we at for me? Who I played the first series,
Previously.
and I have no interest in playing the new. Are we talking about? We're talking about season 2, episode 1, or
2.
episode 2? Okay.
which came out a couple weeks ago, and Jay's been begging me to play it so he can talk to somebody about it on the podcast.
Okay.
And this week,
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I'll just crack wise in the corner.
yeah.
But
it's-
you should have some interest. This is good.
More like Walking Dead.
I know you liked the first one, and I know you're just like not feeling super motivated.
I didn't want to play those either, but yeah, I liked them.
But yeah, I think after our conversation, perhaps you will be motivated.
Hey, speaking of point-and-click adventures, the Double Fine point-and-click adventure added controller support.
So now it's no longer even a point and click adventure.
So now I
Yeah.
can play. Now I'm going to play it. I'm going
That's-
to play it on my couch.
that's literally not a point and click adventure.
No.
Of course, ironically, the point and click adventure that people say is the greatest of all time, Grim Fandango, is not a point and click adventure. My jokes are too complex for you.
So tell me,
That's not a joke.
Tell me
That's
what's
the
going
literal
on.
truth.
What's going on with Clementine?
So Clementine is she's still on the move. She's hanging in there. She's in this. Well,
You play as Clementine?
Yep.
yeah, you play as Clementine.
How much later? I'm sorry. You're on episode 2. I don't need to.
It's a little.
It's a year and a half later or so.
Okay.
a little bit later.
Um,
I don't know. I don't even really know where to start.
But she's still a kid.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But she's getting into like early teenager years.
So basically, whatever happened at the end of season 1, and obviously we're going to be spoiling a lot of stuff. This has been out for a little while, so if you want
You're
to
spoiling
you want to skip
season 2?
ahead. Well, we will definitely be spoiling anything that came before season 2, episode 2, but we may spoil some minor stuff in episode 2.
I feel like the most important stuff about episode 2 is its tone and kind of how it builds things up. So I don't really feel like the spoilers are all that
I agree.
big of a deal.
To
even
be fair,
if we do.
Rowan doesn't care about spoilers ever.
Even if I did care about spoilers,
Okay.
I feel like this is the important thing about it.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think that. I think that you can talk about this episode a whole lot without really revealing anything specific that you may not want to be spoiled on.
Yeah.
So essentially, Clementine's on her journey, and she's on her own, but she, in the first episode, ends up in this house full of, well, there's sort of like, it's a house full of misfits. They've obviously been shunned or kicked out or ran away from, I guess it's ran away from, some larger group of people, and they're doing their own thing, and they're really suspicious of Clementine, which is also a huge red flag, right? I mean, it's Clementine.
Well, they're suspicious because she's got a huge gash that they think might be a zombie cut or a zombie bite.
Yes, that was in the first episode.
That was in the first episode, and so that episode is about her kind of like proving that she is not actually a zombie,
Yeah.
which you'd think would take less time than it did.
So but at this point, she is completely shed any of her old affiliations. Like, she's not with anybody from season 1 anymore at this point.
Okay.
she's a free agent.
She's a free agent. She's moving on.
She's not a Chicago Bull. She's
Another
not
team.
with Lee. She's not a Seattle Seahawk. She's not with Manchester United. She's left Krista.
Is Lee around?
Not now, Clementine.
No, he
Did
died, man. Did you play the first season?
Yeah. He turned into a zombie, right?
Well, you could have Clementine shoot him before he turned, but
Yeah.
yes, Lee is dead regardless.
Why?
Because you shot him, Clementine.
Because that's how these
At
stories
least
work.
in my playthrough. So, I don't know, Rowan, where do you want to dive in?
Well, I think the first episode did a really good job of kind of conveying how playing as Clementine was actually a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I was concerned about that because she was kind of like the anchor that kind of held the game together in the first season of The Walking Dead. But playing as her, she wouldn't be able to be that.
Yeah, she was like, in the first season, she was sort of like the universal diffuser because people had to mind their stuff around her because she's a little girl. She was the
Yeah.
only little girl around, and it's like everybody had to really think about their actions and think about how do they want to be presented in front of this 11-year-old girl or however old she was, I assume.
Right, and
around there.
she could also like ask questions and give advice in a way that would sort of keep the game on track.
Oh, and Clementine will remember that.
Yeah.
That kept you honest, or it kept me honest.
So playing as her, I thought was a risky move, but I think the first episode did a good job of sort of conveying just how relatively helpless she was and making that into a good, not necessarily gameplay mechanic, but a good gameplay tone.
Yeah.
Where, she doesn't have the ability to just kick someone's ass if they find her in the wrong place.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the nice thing about this game is that none of these personality traits have to translate into mechanics whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's always better when they do.
Well, it can. can be a rich area for, let's say, a particularly weak character to have a strong moment, or vice versa.
Yeah. But, like, there's a moment in the first episode when Clementine is sneaking around a house. And like I said, if she gets caught, she can't just get in a fight and run away. She is going to be slower and weaker than anyone that catches her. So that makes, even though the stealth thing is not like a very strong stealth mechanic, you're not playing Thief here. You know that, you know, in a Telltale Walking Dead game, even if you get into a situation where you might die, it'll just immediately reload like a minute before.
Well, hold on a second, because the idea of Clementine being relatively weak and unable to defend herself against a larger, you know, foe that may detect her while she's sneaking around. I mean, at the same time, it is a Telltale game, so you know that whatever you're doing, it's going to be a quick time event that Clementine will somehow be able to, you know, crawl through his legs and then grab a thing and then smack him in the head. You know what I mean? Like,
Quick time events are back.
you'll be able to get out of it.
Quick time events never went away, and they were never actually bad.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, it's not about, it's like, you know that, but because you're playing as Clementine, like, it doesn't feel like that. That's what I think the first episode did a good job of conveying.
Well, okay, to go back to the first episode, I totally agree with you, because the part with the dog that attacks you is a very strong example of what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then in the second episode, there's a part like that where this guy who might or might not be a bad guy just kind of shows up, and Clementine doesn't have the ability to just like shove him out. She has to negotiate this maybe creepy dude who's wandering around asking all kinds of questions that, if she answers them incorrectly, you know, may end up with a bunch of people dead.
Yeah.
So it's got this tone of like increasing dread, because she doesn't necessarily have the power to just deal with this one random dude.
Ta-da!
Are you guys both playing on PC?
Yes.
So in the second episode, right, this sense of dread from this dude who may or may not be a bad guy, and I think it becomes pretty clear that he's at least an antagonist of the people in the house, if not necessarily a bad guy on his own.
Are we talking about the guy who has been looking for our motley crew of people
Right.
that Clementine has? So can we just talk about real quick how that guy is voiced by Michael Madsen, and it's freaking awesome.
That's who that was? Okay.
I did not. Yeah. Well, no, I confirmed it when I saw the credits, but I knew right away. And I don't want to necessarily give anything away, but let's just say there is something that could definitely be argued is a Reservoir Dogs nod in this episode that involves the character that Michael Madsen voices, and I do not think that it's an accident at all.
There's also
Bam.
there's also a point where
You gonna bark all night, little doggy, or you gonna bite?
there's also a moment where the characters are like, the other people come home and they're like, Clementine, who came to see you? Describe him to us. What was his voice like? And I was like, he had a really strangely deep voice. Is one of the options.
Yeah,
in addition to like what he was wearing and like what kind of beard he had and stuff.
It's Mr. Blonde, for sure. So that anyway, the voice acting is exquisite. In the second episode, it's so good. The characters that you get, there are new characters. Rowan, I don't know how you felt about some of the new characters that they met, but I thought that one of the new characters that comes in, one of the latest new characters that you meet, was my favorite in the episode.
Which one?
Well, the one, it's hard to talk.
The older dude?
It's hard to talk about him, but he's the one who is there's like a ski lodge that they are all making camp for. And so episode 2 mostly takes place on this trek up the mountain from where you're stationed at the end of episode 1 in this house. After Michael Madsen's character shows up, the people in the house realize it's not safe there anymore, so they sort of make a pilgrimage to this ski lodge up in the mountains because they think it'll be safer. And once you get to the ski lodge, there's this older guy who's like super sweet, and he's cooking. He's like the cook.
Was he the tuba player from Neutral Milk Hotel?
He didn't have a beard like that.
Yeah,
but Walter, what a great character.
Yeah, that guy's really well voiced and written, and
He's just such exactly what this whole game needed, as far as that, like, his personality represents something that was missing, and it fills a void that I didn't necessarily know was there, but now I can't imagine it not having been there. He was just so great. It's some great moments.
yeah, there were also times like that with Luke, who was one of the characters from the initial group, where he's hanging out with Clementine and just kind of chatting with her, and I'm like, wow, this guy is really well written and interesting, and I don't remember him at all from the first episode.
Yeah, he was kind of like there are a couple guys that are easily dismissed as sort of like just they're
There's
dumb,
a guy there.
dumb bros. Hey, bro with a gun. I'm a bro with a gun shooting zombies, and they have done a good job of making those characters more complex in the second episode.
Yeah. So anyway, there's this increasing sense of dread after Clementine meets this random guy who may or may not be evil, but is definitely considered evil by the group she's with.
We'll call him Mr. Blonde since we can't remember his name.
I can remember his name, but it's kind of a spoiler for if you played the first episode.
Oh, okay,
really.
fair enough.
But I guess if we're saying that, then people can figure out. But yeah, his name is Bill. How about we just say that? So Bill is probably chasing this group. So there's this increasing sense of dread that he is coming to go and get them. And then when the old group that you're with comes across the new group in the ski lodge, they do something that makes like a major conflict between these two groups inevitable. So there's an increasing sense of dread in, like, as soon as this happens, then the shit's gonna hit the fan. Like, I don't necessarily like how it happens, when it happens, what's going to go down is going to be that might all change, but it will definitely be a potential problem.
Yeah.
So you have like both this kind of character-based information revelation problem that is slowly increasing alongside the we're being chased by a bad dude problem that's slowly increasing. So the whole game is this like...
It's like it's a bubbling pot.
Right.
Yeah, it's a crock pot.
You have notes, Jay?
I do. I have a couple notes. I played this like 2.5 weeks ago, so I jotted down a couple things at that point because they were so vivid and obvious to me when I was playing it that I didn't want to forget them whenever we got around to talking about it.
Is episode 3 out?
No.
Episode 3 of Wolf Among Us is out.
Well, I'm not done talking about Walking Dead because there are definitely a couple general things. Well,
just go on.
Well, I'm sorry. Talking about going back to the crock pot. I like the crock pot analogy because it's a slow burn.
Love crock pots.
And that's also
what Walter
Dead
was
is
cooking
about.
in. He was cooking in a pot.
Walter's cooking in a crock. You're right. This is the crock pot. It's all about the crock pot.
Another item in the game that you can pay attention to is a Christmas duck.
Oh yeah, total nod to Gone Home in this game. There are a lot of like homages in episode 2.
Dogs, Gone
Reservoir
Home.
Dogs. Would you ever think that a game would have
Attack of the
potential
Clones.
Reservoir Dogs and a Gone Home reference in the same game?
Sure.
Well, Gone Home's like 6 months old, so why not?
Why not? Good job, guys. But going back to the slow cooker, there are what I think that keeps that fire going, I guess, go with our analogy, is the way that they let you see these that they let you feel the sense of dread from different perspectives.
Yeah.
For instance, there is Clementine, who has a different version of this dread because she doesn't know why this guy is dangerous. She just knows that he's dangerous. And what makes it scarier is that they won't tell her why he's dangerous. So it must be really bad, right?
Yeah.
So on top of that, you've got how everybody treats it differently. You've got the guy who's basically Javier Bardem, you know, and he's
Except not Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men, because
No.
otherwise that problem would be solved.
Yeah, no, this is Javier Bardem from like that Woody Allen movie.
Vicky Cristina
Yeah,
Barcelona.
probably more like that Javier
Yeah.
Bardem. So, but he's the doctor, right?
Yeah.
And he's got a daughter who he's really reluctant about being friendly with Clementine because he's not, again, nobody's really sure if they can trust Clementine.
Well,
Which,
it's also that he wants this daughter to be sheltered from the whole zombie apocalypse.
that's
thing.
true. She's very sheltered from everybody and everything else. She's in her room most of the time. And anyway, to see the way that dread is reflected off of her or her version of it compared to Clementine's is really interesting because there is a palpable contrast between her naivety. How the hell do you
Naivete.
naivete. She's naive, and Clementine is way like mature for her age. So to see the contrast between the two, and then experience some of those moments together, which I won't spoil in the second episode, is really like, it just makes it tense on multiple levels.
And then the reverse is true with the other situation where the player and Clementine realize the problem with the two groups that are old and new
Yes.
before anybody else does.
Yes. Oh God. I mean, this is something that I don't want to spoil because that is something that you should come to on your own terms throughout the progression of this episode. But
And there are some other things that make the new group seem a lot more sympathetic than they would if they were just like, hey, here's random new group. There's some other information that's like, you want to like the new people.
yes, essentially so Clementine is with the motley crew of we'll call them the weird group, and then they make this migration together, and the new group is in this ski lodge that we were talking about earlier. So the new group, or the old group that Clementine's with, meets the new group, and the varying degrees of tension and the fact that Clementine knows the most of anyone in the room is really interesting. It's like the person who really holds the most power as far as what people's motivations are is Clementine.
And it's beyond simply knowing the things that have happened. It's just how she interacts with the people and what they know about her.
So she knows more than everybody, but I mean, she's probably taken the least seriously by everybody.
Well, it depends. Some people who know better do take her seriously, and some people who don't. So there's a contrast there as well. And obviously that's the whole point of contention in episode 1, is that some people in this new group do trust Clementine and some don't, and they're fighting each other throughout a majority of that episode over that exact topic.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed about this episode was, of any of the Telltale things except maybe Wolf Among Us episode 2, it had almost no puzzles.
Yeah, nothing.
Like, it was better than episode or Wolf Among Us episode 2. It had there was a lot of talking in it and not much time to just like walk around. Like, I didn't feel like I could actually pause the Wolf Among Us episode 2, where I was able to do that a lot with Walking Dead episode 2. But it's like they figured out the right pacing to have it like all be story that you play without the puzzles or really even the zombie fights getting in the way. There's like one pretty decent zombie fight in the middle, but other than that, it's pretty much just, oh shit, I don't know what I'm going to say to these people that's going to make this right.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because I specifically wrote down in my notes, pointless agency. There was a part in the game, you know how it's sort of broken up into chapters of the episode and you tend to get achievement pop-ups at the end of each like mile marker throughout the episode? There was from point A to point B of one of those, in between, two of those mile markers, at some point it was all cutscenes, and you literally only control Clementine to walk her from one part of the screen to another screen, and then it's a cutscene, and then that was the whole chapter.
Blah, blah.
So yeah, that was the whole chapter, and I was like, why did they even give you control over Clementine
That
at
doesn't
that
make
moment?
me want to play this at all.
I noticed that far less in this than pretty much any of the other Telltale
No,
games.
now
so.
it is absolutely worth playing because I am willing to accept that maybe they wanted to throw some contrast in for, here's a part with like as far as a spectrum of interactivity goes, this is the minimal end, and then later on that maybe it's a little heavier or something. But I just remember thinking like, this is some BS right about
But
now.
overall, still as cool and intriguing as the first season.
I would say that as a single episode, not tremendously better, but I would say that this is probably the best single Telltale episode of their.
It's really good. Yeah. I mean, what they did was they got the most out of their like any sort of like banked, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, goodwill or good story stuff that they have built up from all the previous episodes. They like used that utility in this episode really, really well.
Yeah, I feel like it got the pacing right. Other than, I think I know which moment you're talking about where you walked a little bit too much, but compared to like pretty much all the others, that was very minor. I think my favorite puzzle in the game, that was with air quotes for our listeners, was when Clementine has to shut down a generator. So you open up this thing and you see all these wires and all these buttons, and there's like this one button that you press and it does nothing. So then you grab a key and use it on the button, and that's it. All the wires don't matter.
Yeah, it's
nothing
like,
matters. It's just like you click on two things.
Yeah.
We should probably say goodbye to our KWTF listeners.
Oh man, KWTF listeners, if you would like to hear us talk a little bit more about The Walking Dead and a little bit about the new Wolf Among Us episode, listen to us at joshandjayshow.com and also download it on iTunes.
Word.
Song that I heard earlier that I was going to tell you a story about. I was like, maybe we should save it for the show.
Whatever.
While I was stuck on the 24, coming over to Rowan's place, there was a version of the song made famous by Sublime, Smoke Two Joints.
Was it the I don't get mad when my mom smokes the pot?
No, it's not that one, but you're close. It's like smoke two joints in the morning. Smoke two joints at night. Well, that's that version. In this version, this guy was saying, he's like, I'm gonna screw this up, but he's like, I smoke two joints when I get up. I smoke two joints in the car. Oh, no. I get in the car, I'm screwing it up. Screwing up the way. This is why I want to tell you.
For
Yeah.
new listeners, we just got a free
Are
roll.
we recording?
Welcome to Josh and Jay's
Welcome back,
Excellent
everybody.
Video Show. Anyway, in this version, just so I don't sound like a complete tool,
One of us may be buzzed.
too late,
One of us may be high.
too late, none of us. But there was a line that they changed in it that was like something along the lines of, I smoke when I play video games and every 10,000 points. He rhymed points with joints.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's impressive.
He was playing
I
Pac-Man.
I had never heard that version before, and I thought it was amusing.
I feel like my hair is really good today.
It's got nice bounce, nice sheen. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
We
Nice
all-
wave.
I took a shower before I came, and like when I got out, I was like, I feel like I got the right amount of conditioner. So, hello, viewers.
It looks good.
Yeah,
Chillin' game.
it's weird.
Woo.
Like an 8 out of 10.
My hair is like an 8 out of 10.
Like
I
an
would
8
say.
out of
Is
10.
Marvel Unlimited an action RPG?
Yeah. So I've been playing this game.
Are we
called
done with
Marvel
Walking
Unlimited.
Dead?
That's I don't know.
I feel like we covered most of it,
did a-
unless there was something you really wanted to
like
say.
Well, the only other thing I wanted to bring
45
up was
minutes,
something. I mean, you want to talk about Wolf Among Us later. I just thought we were gonna get Telltale stuff
That's a little
out of
too
the way.
obvious a segue. I think we need to go with
Let's
some
do it.
weirder
What's
stuff.
Yeah,
up with
you're right.
the-
Break it up. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No. I mean that makes sense. So you don't need to apologize, but we want to do things that don't make sense.
Yeah, but let's go with Marvel Ultimate Unlimited Alliance 3.
All right. So I've been playing this game called Marvel Unlimited.
What's that on?
It's on PC or on phone or on tablet.
Oh.
I wish I had a tablet. I feel like tablet would be ideal for it.
Genuine enthusiasm.
So what it is it's a subscription game where you pay $10 a month,
What?
and then you try to figure out how many of the Marvel crossover comics you can read before you get bored. It's kind of a racing game.
What?
Right. So
My jokes
so
are
like
too complex for you.
I've been going
Yes,
through
they are. Are you? What are we talking about here?
It's a racing game where you try to read a bunch of comics before your subscription runs out.
Is it really?
blog?
Yeah.
Is it a game?
I play it as a game.
Is this a comic book thing? What are we talking about here?
My jokes
Are
are
you-
too complex.
Is this
for
like
you.
those cool Marvel games that were like Diablo?
No, that's Marvel Heroes.
No, that's like isn't that one of those
Yeah.
match 3 games with just
No, that's Marvel Puzzle Quest.
Oh. Okay. So why don't you tell me what
Okay, it's a
Marvel Unlimited is?
It's a database that gives you access to like every Marvel digital comic available.
And you pay $10 a month?
You pay $10 a month, and
All
you
right.
can read
Wolf
all
Among
of
Us.
those comics.
Whoa! Bam! Pop quiz.
So,
no comic
so
book
I have been
podcast.
playing it as a race to try and read these crossovers that are actually kind of
So that you
annoying.
only have to spend $10 once?
Yeah, or maybe twice, but
Okay.
600?
I thought that Jay would want to engage with this, as Jay is also a comics nerd.
Jay,
And
let's go to Jay
would-
Pullman.
you
What do you
know-
think about this?
I haven't read new comics for a while, so I'm kind of out of the loop. And I've never been a huge Marvel Comics fan. Like some series here and there, but I've traditionally been more of a DC Vertigo guy.
Well, what if I told you there was a database that had every Marvel comic book?
I'm listening.
Okay? You could read them as unlimited, as much as you want, for a very small fee,
Yeah.
$100 a month.
$100.
Would you pay
a month?
$100 a month?
Well, I feel like I used to pay $100 a month for a few paperback
All right, all right.
editions.
I'm feeling-
but I stopped doing that because I was
Always
like, I'm
be
spending
closing.
$100 a month on comic books.
I'm going to close him on this. What if I told you it was only $70 a month?
Okay, sure.
What if I told you it was only $10 a month?
Or it's $70 for a year.
Or $70 per year? You could sit with your iPad. You and Rowan could go to the park with your iPad and read Marvel comics.
I hate stories.
And you could only pay $5 each a month and read it together.
I don't know if we could log in at the same time.
Yeah, I think I could probably...
Also, the park probably doesn't have Wi-Fi.
I could fortunately, I think I can swing the $10 a month if I wanted to.
What if
but-
I told you it was free, but you don't get to read the comics? But you do get to play The Wolf Among Us.
I would
you
say
in?
no
You want
deal.
in?
No deal.
No?
No deal. Sorry.
Rowan's in.
Not really.
No, I haven't played The Wolf Among Us episode 3 yet.
How
I've
many?
been reading too many comics.
Okay, so what's up with that? That's like Walking Dead, but with
Well,
wolves.
first of all,
Can you believe there's going to be a Telltale Walking Dead style Borderlands game coming?
Damn right.
And a Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the Game of Thrones thing. That's the crazy.
Yeah,
the
Borderlands
the
one.
Game of Thrones one sounds like it could. I so want it to be really good.
They're taking the best parts of Borderland and distilling it down to a point-and-click adventure.
Well, that's the thing about Borderlands is like easily as somebody who really favors heavy narrative in games and really gets into the narrative side of games, even that are like super mechanically driven. Borderlands 2 is all about shooting stuff.
Borderlands
it's about
2 is
getting
like-
guns and shooting stuff.
Like, meet Slackjaw. He's a rebel without a cause.
Like-
He's going to shoot you up. Go shoot him right now. There's your robot friend. Go.
Yeah, all those people giving you quests and talking on the radios, I do not want to talk to those people in a context other than shooting them in the face.
The thing about Borderlands is they just have that algorithm that gives you like a billion different gun combinations.
Yeah, which is great.
And Borderlands 2 especially is just feedback constantly. 'Cause things are constantly popping up and you're getting...
I feel like the writing in Borderlands 2 is really good. Like that shit makes me laugh at a level that I am surprised at how much I'm laughing, especially since it's not like South Park.
It's funny.
That's true. That's true.
It's funny for a game.
We're earlier. I think I called Gearbox sort of like the Rodney Dangerfield of.
Sure. I can see
We
that.
weren't recording, But listeners, if you want to donate to our Kickstarter that brings you to Josh's house on our breaks,
We're
That's the-
$95,000 into our $100,000 goal.
that
that's
is
the
at
best
the
part of the
$100,000 tier is that you can find out Josh's address and hang out with us when we're not podcasting.
That is the best part of the show, though, unfortunately. We
Wolf-
need to get a remote mic.
Among Us, episode 3.
We have a remote mic. You guys just don't want to use it.
Speaking of comic books, The Wolf Among Us is based on a comic book.
Yeah?
So that's my segue.
Eventually.
Good job. That was a really nice segue. I played through The Wolf Among Us over the past few days. Episode 3, I think it's called A Crooked Mile. And it picks up where episode 2 left off, which
Whoa.
was not
Really?
my favorite episode of a Telltale game.
No, this is
right?
something, if you don't read that stuff, there's no reason to play, right?
No, I think you
I don't read
get
it. I think
into
it's
it anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah. If you're not into the subject matter,
No,
you
I
might
like
not care.
animal film noir.
Well, it's
It's
like,
got a really good aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like I have major issues with like the way that the narrative is structured, but in terms of just like being in the world that they've constructed with their animation, that's pretty awesome. Jay's going to his notes, so I guess I'll keep talking.
yeah, go for it.
I feel like also the way that they've gotten a pretty good, in the first episode at least, they got a pretty good balance of like the puzzles and Telltale action and so on. The second episode they did not, as we mentioned earlier, it was pretty much just all dialogue,
Yeah.
which is not the worst thing in the universe, but it was difficult to pause. I was like, I have to go get the thing that's cooking.
So episode 3 sort of reverts back to this time mechanic that they used in the first episode, where you could choose to go to, was it to Toad's house or to go to some other place?
Goomba's house.
And because you only had,
Princess Peaches.
No.
Actually, it was a princess's house.
yeah, it was a princess.
It's Princess Donkey Skin. I didn't say Donkey Punch.
Not really.
I could have. I almost did.
That's terrible.
Rowan, did you play this too?
I haven't played the third episode.
Oh, okay.
Well, you end up with a choice of 3 different paths to take, and you only have a limited amount of time. So I don't know exactly how it works, but it worked well enough that I did feel like your choices mattered with what order you did them in. But you have a choice of which order to investigate things, because there's a timetable and there's a deadline where you know your suspect is going to show up at a certain place at a certain time. So you only have that window up until then to investigate a couple different areas, and you can choose which ones to focus on and which ones not to. But it's crazy. There's new characters that get introduced. Again, it's like following along with, I guess, what Walking Dead was doing right. And they're great. One of them, I believe...
Is there a rabbit?
One of them, I believe, is voiced by Jennifer Hale.
She better be getting that Telltale money.
Yeah, it was a
Cash
very
those
nice
checks.
surprise. You're in the throes of this dialogue, and like, wait a minute,
Is that FemShep?
is that FemShep?
And Bastila Shan.
Yes, and Bastila, totally.
And Katrina from Quest for Glory 4.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
Whatever you say, Rowan.
Of course, that's a good one. So
Hey, you played those old RPGs.
So, I don't
on
know, I
PC
didn't- I mean-
with me.
I didn't play that one.
Yeah, but you probably knew about the Quest for Glory series.
Yes, I did. It
He's a
always
fickle
looked
pickle.
cool, but I just never got around to it.
They're still pretty damn playable, actually, if you get them on GOG. That you can get like all of them for $10 or on sale for like $5. So,
Did GOG officially change their name to GOG?
yeah, they did that like way back when they did the prank where they said they were closing.
Yeah, and they just a website redesign.
Yeah, they officially changed their name to GOG because they started doing new games also.
Burn. I would like to play The Wolf Among Us.
You-
I think that looks interesting.
It is. It's good characters, and I think that... I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they got Michael Madsen. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up somewhere in The Wolf Among Us at some point. If they got him on the payroll already. I mean, Telltale could definitely use him some capacity.
I heard some of the choices in that game were pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Are they sex positive?
They're gnarly. Well, this game really starts to get into some seedy sexual territory, which is weird because it's about like fairy tale characters, you know?
Well, isn't that one of the hallmarks of the comics?
Yes, it is. And again, I have mentioned this when we talked about the first 2 episodes that from reading the comics, or at least the first few, collection, like trade paperback collections, there is a phenomena where the characters, even if they're killed, they don't really die because the way that they live on is like in the hearts and minds of all the people that read their stories and know that they exist. It's like the Tinkerbell thing, like
You gotta believe.
you gotta clap, you gotta believe, and
Sure.
Tinkerbell will
That's
live.
Parappa the Rapper.
Yes, it's all in the mind.
And
You gotta
Santa
believe.
Claus. Santa Claus from the movie Elf.
So yeah, I don't know
That's a
if
good movie.
That's a great movie. Elf is a really, really good movie. I'm
Like
sorry.
an 8 out of 10.
It's good.
I would give it an 8 out of 10. And
Yeah.
Zooey Deschanel's in it without bangs.
Yeah.
Like an 8 out of 10.
anyway.
Sorry, carry on.
Anyway,
She sings a
You
duet
should
with
play Wolf
Will
Among Us.
Ferrell in the shower.
yeah.
So how are your space bases going, Josh? Woo.
Space Base something.
Dwarf Fortress 9.
You guys-
Space Base
You guys,
THX.
you guys are dicks, man.
Are you still talking about the Wolf Among Us?
Nope.
I'm open
Sure,
to it.
I'm sure not.
Hey, Rowan said Elf.
I sure am not.
Damn right.
Well, I said Elf.
Sincere farewell.
I'm sorry. it's just
Jay's
Elf.
quitting the podcast.
Sincere farewell.
It's down to Josh and Rowan's
I did
mediocre
good during The
video
Walking
game
Dead,
show.
but I don't have my phone now. I don't know what else to do.
Good day
What?
to you, human.
I can't just be on my phone. I have to, interrupt.
Why don't you have your phone?
It's charging.
Maybe you should have planned for this.
I didn't know you guys were going to talk about Walking Dead for 4 hours.
Sorry we actually played a game that wasn't Advance Wars.
I played a little Advance Wars.
Yeah?
It just came out for the Wii U Virtual Console.
How advanced were they?
Pretty advanced. Pretty advanced.
You got flying tanks and shit?
No.
Fascinating.
They make you run through the whole tutorial before they let you into the campaign, so I'm at the end of that. No flying tanks.
Okay. So how were the werewolves?
I thought we were going to talk about Space Base.
I thought we were going to talk about The Wolf Among Us.
He's a fickle pickle. This is just devolving way too much for radio.
It's working.
But we're not on radio anymore.
Internet radio.
This
So-
is Josh and Jay after
so
dark.
Space Base Dwarf Fortress After Dark.
I don't know what the number is at the end of Space Base.
9.
Is it?
Is
like
it,
Deep Space 9.
Isn't it DF9?
Yeah, Space Base DF9.
So Space Base, Rowan's played it,
Space Base
As
7
well.
of 9.
and I played it last year, and I wanted to check back because it's one of those ones that are constantly updating,
Yeah.
and they've updated some stuff. It's
Unfinishable games.
yeah, unfinishable, exactly.
Poopin' game.
It's like Zoo Tycoon or something, and or what's the one, the amusement park one, Tycoon.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, it's like that. But there's just not enough there. There's still not enough there.
There's still not, I've heard they added some pretty big things, but
They added some stuff, but still after an hour, you're kind of maxed out the tree, and
yeah.
I don't know.
Oh man, you guys just reminded me that I had a roommate in college who was like so into Roller Coaster Tycoon and like the roller coaster simulator game where you like actually piece together the roller coasters.
And then ride them.
He started out as like an engineering major, like I don't know, whatever,
Yeah, but-
mechanical engineer.
He's got to get the
whatever it
Facebook
is.
Oculus Rift and ride those roller coasters.
I know.
I like how
that's-
you've already branded it.
That's right.
Speaking of random asides from Josh,
Yeah.
did you notice that Josh was comparing games to Dark Souls earlier?
Have you been playing Dark Souls?
He was like, "This is
I-
kind of like Dark Souls."
I have played Dark Souls, yes.
Yeah,
But,
I think he's becoming one of them.
Drop-
but no, here's the
Dropping
thing. I think the three of us, should all play Dark Souls 2 when it comes out on PC.
Sure, I'll form a Dark Souls hipster band with you.
Yeah? Because none of us have really gotten into Dark Souls.
No.
No, I have it, but I haven't played it.
I played Demon Souls a little bit, and I did get into it while I was playing it, but then it sort of got turned off because it is very much a like
Pooping
it's
game.
just No, it's not. It's not a. That is the opposite. Well, it's a shit your pants game.
I got a couple
But
hours
that's
into Dark
different than a
Souls,
pooping game.
and I really liked it. But then,
But then
Something
Advance
happened.
Wars came out on
well,
Wii U, so
I think I knew Dark Souls 2 was coming out, and
Demon Souls just felt very. Like when you see the Highlander battling some dude on the plains of eternity or whatever the hell it is, and it's just there's nothing else around, and it feels so like I don't know, it's lonely. It's like a lonely game. Like Dark Souls is a
I
lonely
usually
ass
poop
game.
alone.
like Fallout 3.
Yeah, yes. I would say not dissimilar to Fallout 3.
Well, I think we should pick up Dark Souls 2 and give it a go, and then we'll kickstart a version for Rowan.
I have Dark Souls on my PC that
Yeah,
I've
why don't we
never
just
played.
play Dark Souls
Can we play
1?
Dark Souls 1 for I already have that one.
Yeah, you can patch in the P's.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. If
Or Demon. No, you can't play Demon Souls.
All right,
but
so
you
we're
have
all gonna
PS3.
play Dark Souls because we're gonna have to all play it. So we can call each other and go, oh, what you know, what's going on?
we might. So don't plan on that for next time, probably.
Yeah, because I'm actually gonna play Dark Souls 2 probably.
Okay, do it. I want to know about it.
And there's also the issue
listeners
where
want
I-
to know about
I
it.
feel guilty anytime I try to play an RPG that's not for a review or Mass Effect. Because,
Oh, right.
you know, I'm supposed to be writing about that shit.
You can review it for us, and as far as payment, like my cousin Craig's supposed to be sending me a check, so
Got-
you just do it, and then when it comes,
beer and pizza.
but I gotta go meet my friend Dave because he's gonna help me cash the check, and then we'll go and we'll drop it off at your house.
Wait, this sounds an awful lot like the deal you were trying to make with me at the beginning of the show. Is this a callback?
What if?
Is this a callback? Oh wait, all right. Go. I'm a little bit more like open to business at the moment. So what do you got?
Every episode of Marvel.
Okay, I'm
You can
listening.
read it as many times you want.
Yeah.
Some of them have audio.
Some of them have audio.
Like, I download them onto my phone, and it's like, do you want to download the audio files for this comic? And I'm like, fuck you. It's
Wow.
not the preferred nomenclature.
um,
That didn't even make sense, Shay.
It's
$40
It's
a
not
month.
what they're called. $40 a month.
$40 a month. What's $40 a month? Unlimited access to Marvel Comics on your iPad with audio.
Yeah, but
I've been reading the Frank Miller Daredevil.
I'll throw in the audio. I'll throw in the unlimited. I'll throw in the Marvel. Guess what? $20 a month.
okay, I'd do that.
You've heard of this Frank Miller guy?
$10?
He wrote a Batman thing.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Frank Miller.
That's not Marvel.
He
That's the only thing I know about comic books. That's not Marvel.
Is that
right?
Batman is not Marvel?
Yeah, he's DC.
Well, he made his name writing Daredevil for Marvel before he went to DC and Batman.
true.
So I have been reading that.
Did you hear the new Star Wars movies going back to Tatooine?
Oh, there's a shocker. I bet the new Star Wars movie is also going to have lightsabers.
They don't all go to Tatooine.
All the
Empire Strikes Back doesn't go to
Genuine
Tatooine.
enthusiasm.
But there's Tatooine in each of the trilogies.
Yeah, it's in every movie except Empire Strikes Back.
Is it in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Jabba the
Jabba.
Hutt.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah. This is about as surprising as a lightsaber duel.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Genuine enthusiasm.
Avengers 2 started filming. That
What?
is also a major movie.
Ender's Game 2?
Avengers 2.
Oh.
Yeah, that's your Marvel Ultimate Unlimited
Well, there's Superman
alliance.
with Batman.
Superman versus Batman. I don't know if that started filming,
Yeah.
but
How's that work? Doesn't Superman just throw him into space?
Batman's smarter than Superman, though.
Ben Affleck?
yeah.
You should read
Ben Affleck.
Frank Miller on Batman.
Ben
There's
Affleck is smarter than
I'm
whoever.
a Ben
plays-
Affleck fan. I'm not a hater
Superman.
at all. I
No,
think
me
he's
neither.
Super awesome.
yeah,
He's-
I mean, who the
he's-
fuck cares?
He's wicked smart.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what.
Video games. E3's coming up. That was our E3 pre E3 special.
We are
So-
really looking forward to all 17 Telltale games.
Yeah. You guys watched the game of Game of Thrones there?
Yeah,
The
actually,
game of
I
Game
did.
of Thrones.
That first one was pretty good.
That was possibly the best like non-special episode they've done. I think.
Yeah, it was. It had all my favorite stuff going on. Like Arya being cool.
And Tyrion being smart.
Tyrion kind of looked like a douche in this episode a lot, actually.
All right, Tyrion being
Unfortunately.
a smart ass.
Yeah, he did. He was kind of a schmuck.
He's had better episodes. I mean, not his performance wise. I just mean like where his character
He's kind of a
going.
broken man at this
Well,
point.
yeah, he's a little.
But Arya had her Anakin
She's
Skywalker moment.
had
That
to
was
eat a
killer.
lot of shit that episode. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, they switched actors, and the old
Dario.
the old one was way better.
I don't know. He's Danny's mercenary captain, the hot dude with the blonde hair.
Yeah, he killed the two other guys, and
At the end of last season.
yeah, it was he's kind of the love interest of.
Yeah, he's the one who actually has the balls to like talk to her, and
Yeah.
doesn't she say like you have the balls
Yes.
to talk to me like
Yeah.
that?
I
And-
just thought the other actor was way more interesting looking, I guess.
Well, the new actor is actually Sonny on Treme, and everyone hated that fucker in the first season of Treme. They were like, we like Treme except for this one dude.
Is he the heroin addict musician?
Yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Did-
But his character got better though.
Yeah, his character eventually got better, but like it's just like you're taking
Yeah.
the worst character from the start of Treme and like giving him one of the like ultimate badass roles in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's kind of everything everybody hates about like I guess whatever hipster culture means.
yeah.
Sure.
He was a jerk to that awesome girl, Annie, the violin player.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah, she was pretty cool.
What a jerk. Well, we still got another 2 more hours here, so
Oh,
if you're listening,
jeez.
keep hanging
So,
there.
so
man.
should I start? Should I start
Chilling
talking about
game.
my NBA 2K13 things? Or should we
Genuine
say that for the
no,
second?
but keep the ideas coming. I like your enthusiasm.
Genuine
I had a
enthusiasm.
game that I was supposed to review that I had to turn down.
Oh wait, did you play that? You played Warlock.
Yeah, Warlock 2.
You didn't review it?
I can't review it because it's overheating my fucking computer.
Oh, it sucks.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's like my computer starts getting really loud and I can put my hand on it and feel the heat.
You installed
Feel the burn.
You installed real warlocks on your computer.
Mars Warlocks.
yeah.
Um,
Crazy.
God. Never mind.
So,
wanna
and then
interrupt.
like it does this thing where like something in my computer shuts down for a second and then it immediately reboots. It might be the video card, it might be the hard drive. I'm
Sounds
not
like
really
it's
sure.
overheating and it's hitting the failsafe and just.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then when it does that, the game just like I can't. I have to like quit the game and like press Control Alt Delete and see if it actually all goes through and all
too
that.
bad.
And I don't want to do something that's overheating and might damage my computer. But
Oh.
for people for whom the game actually works, which appears to be everyone who's not me,
Yeah.
it seemed to be a really cool strategy game. Like
Yeah, it looked cool.
it's kind of like Civilization 5 if it was in a fantasy world and it was like just all war. Like you aren't building culture and shit. You're building like mana to cast spells to win the war and units to win the war. And
That's like exactly how I just read this Age of Empires reboot is being marketed, like almost word for word what you just said.
but this is like it plays like Civ. It's got the 1 unit per turn or 1 unit per hex.
Oh,
like
okay.
Age of Empires is like that's a totally different form of strategy game.
Wait, is that what
Age
I'm
of
talking?
Wonders?
Age of Wonders. That's what I'm.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Age of Wonders is more similar, but Age of Wonders has like a whole tactical thing that you go in somewhere else.
Okay.
Where Warlock is just like Civ 5, like you're firing
Oh,
arrows.
it plays
across
out on the map screen.
No, it's
Right.
it's just weird that you said almost exactly the way that it was described, like written on Steam, like on the Steam description. It's Age of Wonders 3. It's like if you like Civilization but you don't want to deal with all the management of culture and all that
There's
bullshit.
username possibility space 8 out of 10.
Except I wouldn't say that for Age of Wonders.
Right.
An 8 out of 10.
I wrote a review of that where I didn't say that.
It's time for our segment once again. Joshua's internet pet peeves.
Rowan's rant.
Here's my. Don't you guys hate it when
You get the airline phone.
No, you go to download something on the internet. I was trying to download a texture pack for an emulated thing,
God, I hate it when I
and you
try
go to
do
one of those
that.
file sharing sites, and every freaking ad is just a big download button. So it's all download buttons on the
This
whole
is
page.
this is something that I did to Jay accidentally. I like told him about some mod to get. I don't even remember what game for, but It's not like the dark side of the internet, but it's the slightly grayer side of the
Yeah.
internet, and
It was
everything is
fine.
the download link.
Yeah,
and
everything
Jay-
says download.
Everything is the
And it
download
has the
link.
file. They all have the file name.
Download here, download
Yeah.
here.
And Jay was like, "I can't do this. I don't remember if you downloaded anything or not, but you definitely didn't end up downloading the thing that I
clicked
recommended."
download, and all of a sudden it's something exe in my download folder, and I grabbed it with tweezers and moved it over to
And
recycle
burned
bin.
it, nuked it.
restarted my computer.
Yeah.
Ugh.
At one time, I did that with Diablo 2. I tried to get a keygen because, like, I was at college and I had no idea if, like, even I still had the boxes that had the keys on them.
Sure.
So I downloaded this.
You stole.
And all of a sudden, I ended up with, like, key.exe or something really, really
those
sketchy
work,
like
but
that.
you know what?
No.
.exe.
No, the Diablo keygen that I downloaded
Yeah.
worked, but it was labeled like Diablo 2 keygen.exe.
Yeah.
.exe.
Key.exe
I would
is like-
definitely open that.
No, what you
I-
want to do is
I
right-click, run as administrator.
yes.
Yeah, except I did click it, and I like immediately as I'm like doing the second click, I'm like, shit, this is not the right thing to do.
Was it too late? Like, no.
And I got like the biggest fucking Trojan there was for like 2 years on my computer. It was so annoying, and I was like, I know what did this to me.
God damn it, Xbox.
Pretty much, except Rowan.
I was downloading a texture pack for Xenoblade Chronicles for Wii. Because Xenoblade Chronicles emulated...
Xenobraid is
kinda
my
like-
girlfriend's favorite game. She's like really into like she does the French
It's
braids.
that's
and she, like,
Jonathan Blow's next game. Xenobraid.
She does like the little tiny braids, and then she puts the little tiny braids in the bigger braids. It's pretty impressive.
My jokes are too complex for
That's
you.
fascinating. Xenoblade Chronicles is kind of like my 57 Chevy that for... I feel
Oh,
like for a
yeah.
year and a half I've been kind of messing with the emulator.
it's your
trying to
Skyrim.
get perfect. Yeah, kind of. And I think I have it good right now. I got the button prompts all like Xbox button prompts now, so it matches up. I got the 1080p's. I got the portrait texture maps.
Nice. Good
The
job.
frame rate okay.
Proud of you.
French braids.
Yeah, that game looks pretty good.
Does it play, or have you even bothered with that? Is
Yeah.
it really your
It was
Skyrim?
playing perfect, and then I walked into a cave, and the frame rate went to hell. So I got to go back to the wikis and figure out what's going on.
So you had high P's but low F's.
Yes. Thank you for listening to Josh and Jay's excellent video game show. Go to joshandjayshow.com for more episodes and videos and all kinds of stuff.
Go to unwinnable.com and donate to their Kickstarter because those dudes are funny.
Yeah, and you get good writing from those guys.
Yeah, and we're involved and affiliated and things. If they are still around as a result of people supporting them, like all you nice people that are going to support them or probably have already because you're so awesome.
We're gonna colonize their
We're
site.
part of that. Yeah, this is we're going to invade the shit out of Unwinnable and make it at least
We're gonna
slightly
give them
better
some fucking
than it already
smallpox.
is. Yeah, we're bringing blankets for everyone, and you can be a part of that.
Like us
at
us at Facebook's Oculus Rift / Josh and Jay Show.
That was just died just now. What was that? At Joshua Doan, at Jay Pullman, at Rowan Kaiser, at Josh and Jay Show.
Send us an email.
in stereo.
joshandjayshow@gmail.com.
Send us a really shitty Facebook message.
Oh gosh, you know what we haven't done in a while? It would be really, really cool of all of you people listening.
What?
Is if you and I know
We're asking a lot of our
I know this is,
listeners.
I know I've asked you for a lot before.
We're kind of nags.
But I need 72 cents to take the BART. No, I need you guys to go to iTunes and rate our show and maybe write us a review, one line, whatever, or rate it. It really, really helps us out. And,
thanks, everyone.
This is from Metroid.
Game over.
600,000 penises.
Listen to my story. A bunch of fly guys, you really, really bore me. You come to get me and you make me close and hot. Fine. I should jump
I like
like a
butts.
puppy to your side. But I got news for you,
Pooping
baby.
game.
Sincere farewell.
It's like an 8 out of 10.
I'm gonna erase you.
Hey.
Just like a drawing. Erase you. Flush you like my toilet. Erase you.
Ding.
Show you I'm a woman. Erase you.
Damn right.